Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Locker Room, our weekly podcast that takes a look at our student athletes here in the Bayou region. I'm Stan Gravel. He is Dustin Robichaud. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm great, Stan. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I do want to mention to everybody out there, we're sitting here on June 2nd. Today's June 2nd, just in case you're watching this a little later. And we are in the, I don't want to call it the dog days of summer because we haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah.
But it is summertime, and we're probably going to take a little bit of a hiatus as we're going to wait for football season and volleyball season to really get cranked up in late August. So we'll probably be away for a little while. But one thing, and the nice thing that we certainly can do today is talk about our Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame that happens on June 18th. Dustin, that is like a week, 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away, yes.
That just put the heebie-jeebies in me a little bit. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's a fun process. I do want to remind everybody, after June 18th, we have 6 inductees going in. Just real quickly, want to mention those people. Ernie Brown, a terrific coach in our area, but a terrific basketball player over at LSU. Mark Davis, who played at Thibodaux High, graduated in 1991, had a terrific stint in the NBA where he was the 6th Man of the Year runner-up 2 years in a row. A lot of people out there going, wait a minute, from Thibodaux High? Yes, from Thibodaux High. Chip Didier, a terrific, I keep using those words, terrific and awesome and all of this, but he was a great volleyball coach. He's a godfather of volleyball in our area. I also have Merle Shakespeare, who was a 1959 graduate of LSU, but he played on that 58 championship team, national championship team for LSU. He now lives in Baton Rouge, but he's from Houma, played right here at Terrebonne High School, graduated in 1955. Michael Parrington, just a terrific athlete. Again, using the word terrific, played at E.D. White, finished in 2004, went on to Tulane. From Tulane, went on to the Jets for a few years, and now he is the Vice President of Pro Personnel for the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, from Thibodaux, folks. That's what a lot of people just don't realize, that we have these people who are so instrumental in the, I was going to say the national sports world, but some of them in the international sports world. And then, just, sort of to top it off, you have Ed Orgeron. Yeah, that's right. Bebe is going in this year. Obviously, he won the national championship with LSU in 2019 with maybe the best college football team that has ever played. And a lot of the show, we talk about this today because we're going to have, a little bit later on, Casey just got on, he's going to talk about it with us too. But it's always fun to get the word out about these guys. Again, June 18th, there are very few tickets left. So if you're interested, go to brahoff.com, BRAHOF.com now, because they're going quick. You get these tickets online. That's my interpretation, right?
That is it, yep.
So you just go to BRAHOF.com, and when you get there, there's going to be a big thing that says, hey, basically, you want tickets to this is all you have to do. It is $65 for a seat unless you're a sponsor. And this meal is good. Don't you find the meal good? Oh, did you ever have the opportunity?
I do, yeah. A couple of years I missed out on it, but yes, when I do have the chance to eat the meal, it is great.
Usually I'll grab when I'm leaving, I'll grab the cheesecake or something to bring home, but I'm so nervous at night to make sure we get everything right. But I think we're in a position now where it's a go. There's a lot to do, a lot of things to sort of clean up before the event.
The home stretch.
The home stretch. I agree. Hey, I want to mention this. Dustin does a lot with putting this together on the podcast. Actually, when we were first talking about this, the genesis of all of this sort of came from his brain and stuff. But you also have a podcast, man. You need to tell everybody your podcast, just so they can go listen to you.
Well, we have, it's the Introverse is the name of my podcast, and we actually have a couple of podcasts. My wife and I do one called Top 10 Video. I used to work at a video rental store back when I was...
See, I didn't know about that one.
Right out of high school, yeah. And I'm reliving those years from 1996 to 2002. We're going down and
what was the video store called?
It was called Top 10 Video.
Top 10. Okay.
That's it.
That makes tons of sense.
Was in Lockport, Louisiana. Mr. Mike Bro is the owner. I hope he's doing well. I haven't seen him in years.
That's great. So y'all just kind of break down what's,
yep.
It's so hard because everything used to be theater releases and all of this. Now you have movies coming out on all kind of platforms.
It's very hard to keep track now, yes.
Very good. And the Introverse. that one, I've obviously gone to and listened to some. It's fun just to listen. And it's not sports, guys.
Yes.
I mean, sports may pop up in there every once in a while,
Yes.
but it is nice. But we do certainly thank you for the technical backing of all of this and making sure we get this all together. Again, high school sports, although we're not concentrating on what happens in the summer, it's happening everywhere. I mean, you have 7-on-7 football. You have a soccer league in the area. You have a baseball league, Swampland, which has been around forever. You have the Hogs, who are actually playing American Legion baseball this summer. You have basketball leagues at both with Ellender trying to put it on. Of course, Ellender doesn't have that gym that they used to have, but you also have E.D. White, who has a terrific basketball league during the summer. Just about everybody who is a participant in their sport is doing something to get better for the high school season, but it's not related to their high school. You don't want to break any rules along the way. The other thing is we have our performance training center over at Corporate in Houma that is chock-a-block with high school kids who are getting ready, bigger, faster, stronger for their particular sports. If you're interested in that, that's very simple too. You just go to our site, tghealthsystem.com, and you actually can go to the Healthy Lifestyle Center and find out more information about the Performance Training Center. They are there training kids to get better for this upcoming high school sports season. As if you don't keep up with the Joneses, you're not going to succeed. And we've had some really successful teams in the area as of late. Again, I mentioned Casey was going to come on. We'll get Casey on. Casey and I will talk a little bit about what happens in the summer, but we'll talk about some of those inductees into the 2025 Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame. As I reminded all of you folks, Casey's sitting in here with us today. It's been a little bit, Casey. I realize, and it's all on my end. Last week, I had a little situation come up, and it was Memorial Day. The weekend before that, it's just connecting dots and making sure that we could get together. But I'm so happy to have you here today. How have you been for the last couple of weeks?
I have been fine, my friend, in a rare kind of quiet period where I'm not out until midnight every single day of the week. So kind of enjoying that, but I do know that, it's the calm before the storm, as we're going to get to August real quick, and then I'll be revving right back up again.
I have said repeatedly that on this podcast, we were going to try and keep it right to the Bayou Region high schools and maybe some of the middle and junior highs. But I can't help to do this. How are you feeling this morning?
Angry.
I do know it'd be a tinge. Listen, I love LSU baseball. If anybody ever is out there and I'm just talking to friends or whatever, and they say, do you know somebody who's got a much more passionate feeling about baseball at LSU than you? I said, well, yeah, Casey Gisclair for sure, obviously being an alum. And when I was watching that game last night, I went into that game with and listen, again, I don't care that we're talking about this because we are going into the summer, and it is something that I think starts a good summer off for us, right? I'm thinking that maybe they're getting on a heater right now. 2 games, didn't give up a run. Maybe my concerns about this offense going stagnant or no pitching after the first 2 guys. I shouldn't say no pitching because there's obviously talent there, but there's something that ain't right. And then last night it came crashing down like a big old giant set of Legos. How about, what was you thinking through the game?
I just kept going back to a quote that Butch Terrio has told me all season long. He said, I don't care how fast you throw a ball for. And that's what I saw last night. I saw these big 6'7", 6'8" guys who could throw 102 miles an hour, but they can't and have no clue where it's going. You walked 11 people. You were throwing wild pitches when you weren't walking those 11 people. And I think it was a situation, Stan, where you get up 3-0. Everybody's telling you all day long how you're going to roll past this team. You get up 3-0. And I just think that they took their hands off of the handlebars for a second. And in the NCAA tournament, if you take your hands off of the handlebars, you're going into a ditch. And that's what happened last night. LSU went into their dark place of walking people, not hitting the ball, popping up, only scored 1 run the final 8 innings. And now they got to win today.
Interestingly enough, when you think about baseball, you always think about things that can't happen. Little Rock lost ready for this? And you know this stat, but was it 13 of their last 14 regular season games? Little Rock, and this is not a slight on Nichols, Little Rock got swept by Nichols fairly easily, right? And I'm thinking, now I do understand you could get hot and some things happen for you. And I'm going to tell you what, that, what's his name, Angel Carrero, the first baseman. Yeah, I'd take him, right? I'd let him play on my team any day. But all of that being said, it's exactly what you just said. It's like all of a sudden LSU thought, well, this is just going to happen, And that's the one thing. I am a Jay Johnson fan, but he is very laid back. And in those times you might need pep. I don't know where it comes from for that team. And I'll add one more thing because I know you're going to sort of piggyback on this one. I don't know if Jared Jones can play baseball on the next level, even in a foreign club. He is a specimen. He is your example. You just made the comment that if you could throw the ball 100 miles an hour and you can't throw it over the plate, as Butch said, that doesn't make any sense. Well, Jared Johnson is that offensive player who looks the part and can hit a ball 420 feet. But if you strike out or pop up 13 times in between every hit, that doesn't help, right?
No, indeed. It just, you could see how mental it's become with Jared Jones at the plate. He is trying so hard to hit a 30-run home run to make up for his last 30 at-bats. Well, dude, that doesn't work that way. And the way that you get out of a hole is by climbing, not by digging. Right now, the Bear's trying to dig his way out of a hole, and it's just getting deeper and deeper.
And he's the second guy in the lineup. That's tough when you just okay, you got a hole in the second, spot in the lineup every time you go up. Nonetheless, they play tonight, 8:00. I do think they're going to win. I do think, and I'll just share this, and it might be semi-negative on my part. West Virginia's good. I went and looked at West Virginia yesterday after they won their regional, and I'm thinking, ooh, you know what? We better watch out here in Baton Rouge. West Virginia can play. They actually have won more and lost less than what LSU has this year.
The only piece of positive I would say is that they're going to have to beat one of Ianson and the True. 2 out of 3, that they got to beat one of the two.
True. I agree. Yeah, that's a great point. And I will say that, going back to that, no matter what we think about LSU, when you go 1-2 with those two guys, they set up for a 3-game series, Whereas CCA was the total opposite. This is it kind of goes in their favor just a little bit. So what's your summer? I mean, what are your sort of plans related to, I guess, coverage with Bayou Sports, but also, just talking about things. Do you take things too serious in the summer?
So we're going to be doing a lot of summer league stuff on the basketball side. We're going to be going, and in fact, today, Abby's going to be at Nichols live streaming the team camp over there. We got a bunch of women's basketball teams in our area that are going to Nichols. We're going to be doing a lot of that. We're going to be at ED White at the summer league out there. ED White themselves are going to host a big team camp on a weekend with 30, 40 teams. So we'll be at that. So we'll be keeping up with all that. We don't physically go to the 7-on-7 stuff much, but if anybody gets offered a scholarship or whatever at a camp, we stay on that stuff. And one thing that we're really working hard on doing over the summer is just kind of building our inventory. We did really well in the last year. We're restocking the iPads, restocking the cameras, because it's our goal in the football season to do 4 games a week on Friday nights. So it would be huge. We got what we think are the resources to do it. Now it's just kind of making that plan and putting it in place.
Very good. Very good. And listen, I want you to talk a little bit about the group chat. I know it's just friends, but it's still a sports push where y'all sit around and talk. It can get national, obviously, and it stays local sometimes. But talk about that, the genesis of it, just the fun of doing it, probably, right?
100%. If you guys want to see me in a not professional setting, go watch that. We cut up. We talk about Little Debbie's and, different things happening in the world. It's fun. And the thing I like the most about the podcast is we got so many different types of people. It's myself, Damian St. Pierre, who is like a recruiter, Dan Oz by day, but is a basketball coach by night. We got Tommy Thibodaux, who's a lawyer. We got Nick, who's, like a shirt maker. We got just different personalities. And, oh yeah, the people in the comments are roasting us the entire show. So we're responding to that stuff too. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. We'll be doing a lot of that stuff. Every Wednesday we go live. And yeah, if you want to see me not wound up as tight, see me on Wednesday at the group chat.
That's the time to do it, right? Yeah. Listen, our guy, Dustin Robichaud here in the marketing department, you know Dustin. Dustin Dustin will tell you, he's not a big sports guy, but he's got a podcast with friends from Nashville and Orlando. And that is
cool.
Fun. Yeah, that's just, when you could get 3 friends together and talk, and they have a guest every week. And I get to sit down with those guys coming up, and I'm excited about that, just to talk about, I don't know, I would venture to call it, I hope I'm not offending those guys, nerdy kind of stuff, our favorite movies, our favorite sports movies, things like that. So I think that's where you guys get in the group chat and everything. And I got to tell you, I actually tuned in at the wrong time, though. I'm going to be truly transparent. Y'all were on a wrestling thing, and it kind of lost me a little bit. I'm thinking, I don't know, me and Brian might be lost right now, but I know you got Brian hooked a little bit, right?
I sure do. Brian's a wrestle guy now. Yeah, he can hold his own now. So we're going to bring you over to the dark side one.
Very good. Very good. Listen, another thing I have to thank you for. Last week, you made a little push for us for the Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame. It comes up on June 18th. It's a labor of love, and that is the truth, for everybody here. But it's not easy all the time. And when I say that, you have to gather these people. I thought of you a lot when I was doing the interviewing for this, because part of my job is to go out and sit with these inductees and put a little piece together. And I sat with Mark Davis, and I know how much you love basketball, and I'm thinking Casey would love talking to this guy. He came into the hospital about 2 weeks ago, and he sat, and Casey, I'm here to tell you, I'm sitting there talking to the guy, a 1991 graduate of Thibodaux High School, right? And he's talking about when he, in 1996, was doing this against the Bulls, and this happened, and Michael Jordan did this to him, and he had to go up over Rodman to do this. And I'm going, is this like real? It's kind of surreal, right? And I go back and I find footage of it. Like footage of him like dunking on Scottie Pippen and stuff. Don't get me wrong, the Bulls won the game. But, little things. And I'm going, this is surreal that we didn't know the story of this guy. And it's simply because, and I think you know this, if a player, whether that player's from Thibodaux High, from Terrebonne High, from South Lafourche, if they leave and they go to a school in Arizona, or we lose track a little bit. I can remember that happening with Nicky. So I had always known Nicky Salvoir, right? And I was coaching at the time. Nicky left and went to Arizona, and he was out of sight, out of mind for a couple of years before he came back to LSU to play tight end, right? He was also a terrific baseball player too. And Mark Davis stayed away the whole time. He stayed at Texas Tech, right? When he went there, he went from Texas Tech to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it was fascinating to see how it all plays out for some of these guys.
And that's the thing that I love so much about what you guys do with the Hall of Fame is that, look, I consider myself to be, a sports nut or whatever, but I always learned something that I didn't know. And I learned something about someone that I didn't know. Like, I'm fascinated to watch, for instance, you guys' video on Coach O, because he's from here, but I know I'm going to learn something, even, with him being from here. And then, the every year, last year was the bull rider, the name escapes me, but there's always this one person that you're realizing, wait, he's from here. He's one of us. And it sounds like Mark Davis is going to be one of those stories. I know the name, but when you're telling me, dunking on Scottie Pippen, I didn't realize it was that extensive. And that's the beauty of it, is you got these people from this area doing amazing things. And we just kind of out of sight, out of mind. Sometimes you don't even realize that it's happening. It's awesome.
Just to share, the thing about Ed Orgeron is obviously we know his wall. We know his accolades. We know, he was a head coach of arguably the best collegiate football team ever in history. So we sort of know that. So what happened with him is out of the blue, I get a call. By the way, he called me this weekend. Like, it's surreal. I'm sitting down Saturday night getting ready to watch the LSU game, and I get a call from Ed Orgeron. Hey, Stan, I was wondering about this, and I'm like, but he invited Dustin and I over to his house in Baton Rouge. He lives in the University Club. Well, he's got multiple houses, but he's got one there. Casey, we spent the day there. It was the most awesome thing. It was just the three of us, and we're sitting on his back patio, and he's telling stories of when he grew up in Larose that, we would play football, and we had this field, and like the midline was like this little indention ditch, right? Yeah. And then we had the bushes on each side, and we had this, and I'm like, okay, a lot of kids have that in their childhood. And then he says, you know what I found out like 25 years later? That doggone ditch was a sewage ditch, just like he was cracking us up. He told stories of his friend Nucci, who I actually know who Nucci is. And that's the part. Look, Netflix has a big thing on Coach O right now and LSU. It primarily deals with 2019 and the championship. But I'm thinking what we're doing, you didn't know what he did at Larose when he was in junior high, or what he thought about those guys from Golden Meadow and Galliano, because he was like, man, we didn't like each other. We came together and everybody would think that we all were, loved each other down there. There was a time when you're a kid, your enemies down there, and stuff. And I'm thinking that's the stories I think that are fun. And his reverence for Ralph Pere, who was a head football coach at that time. He said, I would put in order of people who influenced my life as coaches. He said it would be probably 1A, Ralph Pere, and I'm giving away stuff. I hope people wait to watch the video. I don't want to put words in it. But when he said Ralph Pere was like 1A along with Pete Carroll and Jimmy Johnson. And I'm going, wow, that's pretty heady stuff, right?
Super Bowl champions, national champions. Yeah, that's pretty good company to be in.
As a matter of fact, later on in this podcast, we'll show a little excerpt from what he said and from what I think Chip. We'll throw Chip in there because Chip is that's a fascinating story to know his dad, Mel Didier, a great coach at LSU in the late 50s. I didn't realize his dad coached on the National Football Championship team in 58, because in those days on the collegiate level, it's kind of like the old high school days. You have to coach a spring and a fall sport. So he actually coached with Paul Dietzel in that group. But yeah, I'm going to throw that in a little bit later in the podcast. And I hope that people understand that, look, it's just a history lesson, man. We're trying to preserve history as much as we can and make that go forward. As far as what you saw in the spring from football, I know, and you had mentioned that South Lafourche had a really good spring game, but we heard great things about that team down there. I know Terrebonne got on the field and took on 35, McDonough 35. But a lot of other teams, it was sort of close to the best, man. It was like, we're going to take our 5 days in the fall, and there's so many rules and regulations that are not rules and regulations with the LHSAA that related to football, which is obviously the next big sport. By the way, don't blink. We'll be right in the middle of it. It's sort of I don't know what's what. Do you have anything figured out related to that? Anything you're looking really forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing some of our young kids grow and blossom. Some of our better players last year were underclassmen, and we've got a lot of really talented kids coming back. I mean, every day you log on to X, and Terrebonne High School's got another kid getting offered a scholarship, or Vanderbilt, even though they lost a lot of linemen and Jalen Coleman, they're super excited. We've had Coach Wallace on and says, hey, look, we think we're going to be really good again. Down the Bayou at South Lafourche, they're extremely excited about what they have returning. They have a new defensive coordinator there. They returned most of the offense. And then Kyle Asang told us on play-by-play, I got 200 kids in my program. Like, we're having to rebuild our locker room to get more space. Like, it's insane. So, and then, having said that, staying in the same town, I want to see what Lowell Narcisse is going to do, man. You got a young, vibrant coach out there at Thibodaux High School. They were young last year. They had a tumultuous season and still made the playoffs. So, like, if they could get, some stability there, those kids can win 6-7 games, too. So, I do think there's a lot of very interesting storylines to follow. And if there are any kids that listen to this, and I think that there are, now's the time to do it, man. Get yourself in shape right now. Get ready. The work you do right now is going to decide whether or not you're cramping in the third or fourth quarter or whether or not you're pushing through.
Do not take the off season for granted, kids. I know I'm an old man and stuff, but I have seen kids who did not come back. I would venture to say, one, he's actually a Hall of Famer, and I wish he could sit right here and talk to you a little bit. And that's Phil Livas, who said, I wish I would have done some things in the summer to get myself ready, because it would have certainly improved, what happens in the long run. I do have to ask you about one kid, just real quick. Obviously, I don't know the kid, but I've seen him in basketball, and I know what he can do in baseball. And I say I know, I've seen him in it. And he was a pretty good football player. The Terrence Petrie kid, what's the deal, man? He's like the real deal, right?
He is, and I think you misspoke. Basketball and football guy.
Basketball. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said baseball.
Yeah, no, all good. So I've been knowing Terrence since he was 4 years old. I coached Terrence when he was 5 years old, and we oftentimes say these cliches like, hey, this kid's built different, or whatever it may be. Terrence was built different. We knew down here in South Lafourche that Terrence Petrie was going to be a special student athlete when he was 6 years old, playing on the U8 All-Star team and leading the U8 All-Star team in basketball. We didn't know anything about the football. He didn't play youth football growing up, but he goes out in middle school and was the quarterback at LCO, just tough as nails. Then BJ turns him into a receiver. And now all of a sudden they can't guard him. I mean, he rewrites the school record book last year, is going to probably do the same again this year. And on the basketball side, Stan, like you say this all the time, like he just has it. He just has it. If the ball's loose, Terrence is going to be by it. If, you need a basket, he's going to get it. He scored 30-plus points in the game against Honville. And the thing of it is like, he doesn't look like he's a big, strong kid. He's not the biggest. He's not the fastest. He's just Terrence Petrie. There's no other way to say it. That's just the way it's been. He is having an impact on the boys' side of the athletic department over there, similar to what Treya Bruce did a couple years ago on the girls' side. And that's as high of a compliment as I could give, but she might be the best girls basketball player in the history of the school.
That's what you need. You need the catalyst, and probably something that other kids could sort of look up to. No, I just wondered, because obviously he's making all of these, all region teams and all state type teams. So just wondering about that. I think it's going to be a fun summer. Again, a little bit of a hiatus for us. Thanks for all you do for us here. If ever we could do anything, we'll reach out to you for sure. If you could do likewise. So again, thanks for everything you do.
Very quick before we go, want to give a shout out to Jordan Matthews of Vanderbilt Catholic, a high school signee of Nicholls State University. That 10 years ago wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but in the portal era now, being a high school signee going to Nicholls State University, that is a very big deal. Congratulations to Jordan. Much deserved, and I know he's going to go to Thibodaux and do big things.
By the way, yeah, speaking of guys who can play, as a guy who can play, I got to give one. I'm glad you said that real quick. This is a guy who is from here. He grew up near me in Montague, Louisiana, and he is on the precipice, I don't know if that's the right word, of being the all-time leading women's collegiate basketball coach in the state of Louisiana, and that's Bo Browder. I think Bo's got to win about 5 or 6 more games to pass up Lisa Stockton. It used to be held by Leon Barrymore from Louisiana Tech. Then it was Lisa Stockton. And now Bo is going to smash that next year, because Bo's a young guy. But I remember Bo as a little boy dribbling a basketball around Montague. That's how he went everywhere with his basketball, although he was a terrific baseball player. And Bo is a keynote speaker for Kenny Trahan and those guys and some big function they got coming up. So I just want to give a little shout out to Bo. Bo and I are still friends. He is a very humble man. He'll come by and visit every once in a while, and big kudos to him. One day, I think Bo, if he's not in our Hall of Fame, he sure should be in our Hall of Fame. Can you imagine that?
The words. I was about ready to say future Hall of Famer. That's it. Yeah. Exactly what, yeah.
And a lot of people might say, well, Kim Mulkey actually does have more wins, but not in the state of Louisiana, not at LSU. She's only been there for, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So Bo's been at Xavier University for 26 years. 26 years. Yeah, he's starting to build up. He's averaging about 24 wins a year at Xavier University. So kudos to him. And to the LSU Shreveport Pilots. I don't care what league you go 8-0 in. You did something right. Just ask CCA how hard that is. And that team went 58-0. I wish we had a lot more local kids. I know the Constants played there. Josh and David both played there. And we have some other kids locally that played there. But when I saw that, I smiled. And it's getting a lot of national attention now. So that's pretty cool, right?
100%. Look, man, you know this. You're fighting an injury right now. We can't get out of bed 58 times in a row without getting hurt. These guys are playing 58 baseball games in a row without losing. It's incredible. When you go look at the scores, they're not winning 2-0. They're blowing the brakes off of people, man. It's unbelievable. And I get the feeling with the way things work now, some of those guys might be wearing the other shade of purple and gold at some point in their college careers.
I agree. Between LSU Shreveport, LSU Eunice, it's pretty amazing, what those teams have sort of put together related to national attention and those things. Anyway. All right. Need to let you go. Thank you so much for everything. We'll keep in touch going forward.
Take care, bud.
All right, here we go. Here, Ed Orgeron talking to us about 2 weeks ago. I think everybody will like this. We'll get Chip on right after that.
My grandparents lived across the street, and we lived in rental houses. And the thing I remember is playing outside all the time. The 2 gravel roads was the touchdown line. We had a ditch in the middle. Come to find out later, it was a sewer ditch. All right? It was the 50-yard line. And then we had some bushes on the side. And that was the out-of-bounds line. And we played, and we played, and we played. And look, I played 6, 7 years old. My cousin was 12 years old. You get knocked out, you get back up and go. But it was my mom and daddy worked. They were great people. It was a small community that believed in each other. I love baseball. I love track. When I got older, I love basketball, mini basketball, but my uniform didn't fit, man. We had to go to New Orleans to get me a different jersey. But I always felt that I'd be a football player and a football coach. My dad was kind of my mentor and my coach. He would arrange all that stuff. And we had to play in the yard now. You're not going to sit in the house and not play now. There was Larose, Cutoff, Galliana, and Golden Meadow. We play against each other. And Lockport, I got to say it. And, man, all of a sudden, like Larose and Cutoff got together. And those were our enemies, but they became our best friends. Then it was Galliano stayed separate and Golden Meadow. Andy Martin was over there. Blaze Leday was the coach at Galliano. I mean, those are some teams, man. T. Paul Pierce was our coach. So we never looked. It was like Saint Lafourche was the goal, but it was like in that day, we had to win, man. Losing was not a choice. You didn't want to go home losing. And, man, winning was about everything. Coach Perry was the deal, man. Ralph Pere came pick me, Darryl Reynolds up and made us go practice spring ball in 9th grade for the varsity. And, he made me a player. I mean, he'd kick you in the butt now. Hey, we needed it. For a little bit, we kind of lost our focus a little bit. And we lost 3 games. We lost to Skippy Hazel. We lost to Hornville. And I think we went to you all say maybe West Jefferson beat us. But, boy, I'm telling you, when them playoffs came, we had a team that we knew we could win. And we decided to click in. We clicked in, man, and we took fire. But, Bobby was a quarterback. We had a quarterback that could throw the football. But you had some guys like David Dillon, who was an extraordinary high school player. He played both ways. He'd get 10, 15 tackles, run the football. Andy Martin was tough as hell. Darryl Reynolds, all these guys, man. Edgar Bouzigard, Robbie Crosby. I mean, we were a tight-knit group. And it was kind of like, all right, it's time now. Let's go. Let's cut the BS out and let's get it. And we caught fire in the playoffs. It was an expectation. Now, Coach Perry would send us a letter. Still have that letter, man. It was so important. Man, it's now time to start focusing on camp. Our goal at Saint Lafourche is to win the district championship. And he kept it simple for us. He didn't want us to get the big head. But we got the big head, obviously. But anyway, we had a nucleus coming back. That same nucleus, Andy Martin was at Golden Meadow. We came together. We had a good football team. And again, we got it to the quarterfinals. and we lost to St. Aug. And who won the state championship? St. Aug. So we had a pretty productive year, but we just had that little edge missing to us. We threw the discus. We threw the shot, we spin, and it's all about your hips. It's all about your rotation. You know that, you coach. And then the guys are teaching speed, and you got to work. You got to be in shape. I love track. And, I met some great guys. Carl Morgan, who's in the Hall of Fame. I remember the Brady boys. You're going to like this. The Brady boys, when we go to Thibodaux, you had some coaches that were from out of state that would coach at Nichols. Well, these guys are from California. And me and Carl become good friends. And we're still good friends today. And the Brady boys were spinning in the shot put ring. And we're like, well, who's going to tell them? I said, I'll go tell them. Hey, guys, the discus ring's over there. And they said, well, and they were like 220. We were like 250, 280. They said, oh, no, we throw the discus. We throw the shot put just like the discus. 61 feet. We had never seen nothing like that in our lives. Coach Perry stood out. I mean, he's him, Jimmy Johnson, and Pete Carroll were the three best coaches I coached. No question. A coach is supposed to make you do something that you don't want to do. That's a great coach. And he did it. But, man, we had a great staff. His staff, you was on the staff. Coach Earl Bourgeois, defensive line, you didn't play, man. Coach Bourgeois, offensive line, Ralph Pere, Coach Charlie Combo. All those guys were great coaches. And it was a cohesive staff. They had a cohesive staff. We had a cohesive team.
My daddy was really entrenched in LSU. They just coming off a conference championship. He loved LSU. We loved LSU. When he got offered by Vernon Galliano to go to Nichols to be the athletic director and head baseball coach, he wanted the job, but he was worried about how the family would react. So he knew I was going to be a big part of that. And I was 9, 10 years old. And I didn't want to, when he told me about it, I didn't want to leave. I mean, I loved LSU. I was at every baseball game, football game. He was assistant football with a national championship team, all this good stuff. But he wanted to go there to make that next step. And what he did, he took me down to Thibodaux. I don't know what day it was of the week or whatever it was. I was playing on a baseball team in Baton Rouge and doing very well. And I did not want to leave that team. I was 9, 10 years old. We go to Thibodaux. They put me on a team that night and I pitch. And I just fell in love with the place. And the coach loved me. The players enjoyed what we did. And we won the game and I did very well. And then my daddy said, this is what it's going to be like if we move to Thibodaux. So you willing to come? I said, absolutely. My dad had nothing but brothers. And I think there were 6 or 7 of them. And they all played baseball. They all had the opportunity to play professional baseball. And I looked up to them. But I didn't have any expectations. My dad never forced me to play or do anything I didn't want to do. He always said, it's your life. You live like you want to live. I would have never believed that I ended up coaching volleyball. It was not something I'd even thought about. Never thought about it. Didn't know the game. Didn't understand the game. It was just really weird how it came about. I wanted to coach baseball. I had my mind made up. When I got hired, there was no baseball jobs open in Terrebonne Parish or Lafourche Parish. I applied both places. So, but I interviewed in Terrebonne at Ellender Junior High. The principal wanted to interview me. So I went in, and what he did, he told me, we're going to start baseball here in a couple of years, and I want you to be my baseball coach. But you're going to have to coach girls volleyball, girls basketball, girls softball. And if you do me that favor, I promise you will be the next baseball coach at Ellender Memorial High School, because it was going to become a high school. A funny story, first year of coaching there, we lost our first 10 matches, and they weren't even close. We got beat bad. But I was making my girls try to bump set spike, play power volleyball. And we went to the a tournament, and we ended up winning the tournament and didn't lose a set. We didn't lose a set from then for 4 years. But I got called into the school board because we had complaints from other parents of teams that we were spiking and serving overhand and that we were hurting their children. So I had to bring the rule book. The principal had to come with me. We brought the rule book, and this is the rule book for power volleyball. You bump that spike, and this is what he's teaching the correct way. And I said, I don't know what these other people are teaching because all they do is get it back to us, like recreation ball. And I was teaching mine different, but it took us 3/4 of a year to get it down and learn it. And once we did, we were unstoppable. Well, I lived in Thibodaux, and I was traveling to Elida for 4 years. Then traveling to South Terrebonne, which was even further, for 4 years. I had 2 small babies at that time. And I just didn't like traveling. It was 1 hour going, an hour coming back. And it was just difficult. It was difficult family-wise. It was difficult. So Luther Fletcher was at H.L. Bourgeois, probably the best principal I ever worked for. And he called me up and he says, our coach is leaving, retiring or whatever. I would like you to come and whatever you want to teach. He said, I got social studies, I got civics, I got whatever you want. You can have that. So I said, well, I'd like to move closer to home because it's 15 minutes from my house. So I went there and had a great group of kids. I mean, they challenged for a state championship just about. I told him it's going to take 3 years to build, and mostly the 10th graders, that's when they had 10th, 11th, 12th. We had no 9th graders. The 10th graders bought into what I was selling them. They ended up being my better athletes. So I played them all JV games and turned around and put them right back into the varsity games. And I just kept getting them more and more and more play all the time. And so because of that, they picked up the game twice as quick. And we had a couple of older kids sprinkled in there, but they couldn't hang with the younger kids. So they did an outstanding job. And then by the time their senior year, we won state with them. I was pursued by a big supporter of Nichols, and Mr. Didier, who was the president of Terrebonne Parish, he wanted me to go to Nichols. And so he had an in with Dr. Ayo, and he would talk to him. But it took a lot of negotiation because at the time they couldn't pay their volleyball coach very well. And I was making more as a teacher and a coach at HL than they were paying the volleyball coach. So at that time I had 4 kids. I had twin and I had young ones, and I had Allison and Amy and Ray and Rebecca, and I had 4 daughters. I thought I could make a difference at Nichols. And I went in for an interview, and they made me some promises that they would fully fund the program and they would do this, this, and this, and this. And it sounded really good. If I knew what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have gone. I would have stayed at HL, probably finished my career there.
As always, we'd like to thank Casey. Again, we mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to take a little hiatus here during the summer and kind of sit back, get all of our ducks in a row related to the Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame. That ceremony, again, is on the 18th. That's only a few weeks away. It's a Wednesday night. It's at Cypress Columns. It's a terrific event. A lot of people coming in. Obviously, Ed Orgeron is a big draw in this thing, so we'll have people coming in to sort of see about his career. So interesting, Dustin. He's in the middle of a Netflix documentary right now, right?
Yep.
I think, you and I had the opportunity to go sit with him and visit for days,
We
which
did.
I don't know how it was for you, but that was an awesome day.
Now,
He's a good guy.
that was a good time.
It was
Yes.
a good time. He talked about the Bayou. I mean, you're not going to get that in a Netflix, documentary. You're not going to get
Right.
about what the Bayou was like, what it was like growing up in Larose and playing on a field that the midline, the 50-yard line was basically a sewage ditch that ran across the field. And, and you and I were giggling the whole time when he's talking, but he was very welcoming. So I think with this event being highlighted by videos that introduce each person, I think people will get a kick out of the video. It's not going to have the technical savvy that you would have from Netflix. I mean, obviously, you have billion-dollar production companies coming in to do some of those things. But to tell the story of this boy from Larose, Louisiana, I think is important. To hear Chip Didier talk about his father, Raymond Didier, and his path to volleyball when his whole life was baseball. To hear Merle Shakesnider, a poor kid from Dulors, Louisiana, playing on a national championship team. I could go on and on. Mark Davis, who a lot of people around here don't realize was just a really good basketball player with the Philadelphia 76ers and other NBA teams. They didn't even know it. And when I say we didn't even know it. So again, I think it'll be a fun night. June 18th. June 18th. Keep that on your calendar. Thank you, Dustin. Have a terrific rest of the summer.
Same to you, Stan.
Make sure you're there on June 18th.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll be taking photos.
I hope I'm there. I dealing with a few back issues, but feeling pretty good as I'm sitting here right now. So I hope I'm feeling like this.
We'll just pause it in that position right there.
We'll pause it in that position. Or we'll use, I'm going to go ahead and say, we'll use medication to get through. How's that? We'll figure out something. Yeah. Again, thanks for tuning in, folks. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back. We're going to pump it out when the football and volleyball coaches come in for our annual media day at the late date of August. I think it's around August 16th, something like that.
That'll be countdown to kickoff, right?
Countdown to kickoff. That's exactly right. We don't want to leave the volleyball part of it out. I don't know what that would be. Countdown to first serve? I don't know.
Countdown to first serve?
We have decisions to make.
Yep.
There you go. All right. Take care, everybody.